Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to welcome Neil Fisher here. Now, he's an author, an online coach, and a mindset coach. So let's kick this off right, man. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, man, I'll just give you the story and, abbreviated as much as possible from the start. Grew up in the rainforest, man. Good parents, or as good a parents you could possibly have, good role models and all that sort of shit. So it was good to not grow up in a city, just being playing in dams, swimming in creeks, getting dirty, all that sort of shit. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but we ate a lot better than everybody else. Like, we'd come to school, we'd still eat sandwiches and shit that you wouldn't, that still is poisonous, but we'd have meat and vegetables and fruit, and above all, like fresh creek water that comes straight out of the mountain and fresh rainwater. So these things impacted my life for until this day. I'm adamant I can't drink tap water for that reason. So through that, smart, I was always top of the class and all that sort of shit all through school. But then I was also able to just be a class clown at the same time. So it was actually a privilege that I was born with, to be able to fuck around in school but still be really good at it. So that was a blessing. So they went through school, went through all the ups and downs, the dark emotions and the early introductions to substance abuse, as you do as a teenager, trying to be cool like people that just weren't cool, and holding yourself back and doubting yourself and just listening to negative music. As much as I love heavy metal, love it to this day, till death, it is just, there are some messages, if you get too attached to it, it can just bring you down. This isn't just about heavy metal. I'm just talking about music in general. I didn't realize it. I was addicted to these negative feelings, and the substance abuse. It all works together. We all know that, and hanging around negative people. So then I finished school, aced it, and then went to uni to be an engineer. But before I went, I had a 6-week break, and I went and just spent all this time with my brother up in Darwin, Australia, and just again lots of drinking and fast cars and all that sort of shit. And I thought, oh yeah, because I was over school by then. I thought, I'll just have this break for 6 weeks, indulging in all this hedonism, and then after that, I'll be ready to go back to school. No, got there because I had to move away like 2,000, it'd be like 1,500 miles in your metrics away, and I was with my high school sweetheart at the time, only girl I'd ever been with, and I was the only male that she had ever been with as well. So having that separation was just crushing. And then plus I realized when I got to university, I'm just in a whole different game. There were two aspects to it. Number one, everyone was way smarter than me in academically, that is. And number two, this was even more immature than high school. Like, this is just not me. So bailed out of that. The parents didn't like that because they forked out a bit of money to get me there. But, I bailed out before they actually had to pay the real money. Come back, reunited with the high school sweetheart. Life was awesome. What am I going to do? The fear of when you leave school. What am I going to do? So, luckily, because my dad was in the construction industry in the small town that we lived in, so he knew everybody. So I was able to actually, and I didn't want to do construction. No way. But I was able to get a job tree planting. Well, that seems pretty easy. And for, someone fresh out of school, making really good money just planting trees. So through that, I was able to do that for a few months. And then we ran out of trees to plant because it was on a big highway upgrade construction to bypass through the town. And they said, hey, you're doing good work. Do you want to come and work on the earthwork side of things and just keep doing what you're doing? I said, sounds great. So over a period of 8-9 months, banked away all this money and still living at home with the high school sweetheart. And then I was able to get my first house when I was like 18. Had the deposit. Dad backed me. Renovated it all, and what a fucking nightmare. If you ever want some advice in life, don't renovate a house that's fucking 80 years old. What a nightmare that was. But anyway, we got through that. And I was always had visions and aspirations of, um, dare I say, wealth, power, all those sorts of things. Basically, just being significance, having impact in life, being a leader. I always had that. Even when I was a kid, I used to draw pictures of leading squadrons or base building constructions, like empire building. And all of these things um, contributed to my downfall when my life stopped. So finished the house, had it all ready for sale, and then the global financial crisis of 2008 happened. So bam, nobody was buying nothing. Property market in everywhere in the world, crashed, and so I was stuck with this house that was supposed to sell and make a profit, and then leapfrog along. And this is before I really, I was self-educating, reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and doing seminars and like Anthony Robbins, all this sorts of things. Always reading books. Always just really went down the self-education route. And then I picked up the thing that I liked was day trading because it just made sense. It's like, sweet, I can do it anywhere on my computer. I'm not dependent on like building a business or anything like that. It's all up to me. I can do it anywhere, anytime. And as long as I still have fingers and eyeballs, I could do it. Sounded great. And I was doing that and learning it. And because the house I bought for cheap and it was a piece of shit, and then we coated it with jam and made it look amazing, it was just making a purse out of a sow's ear, as they say in Australia. Sweet. So the bank valued it. It was like doubled in value. So I thought, what if I can just, and they send you the offers, I'll just refinance this and this can pay, I can get all this money and then I can use that to trade with it. This big chunk of capital. And then because I was still young and, naive and still just grandiosity, I thought, oh yeah, I can trade and make all this money because I was learning all these courses. That's what they sell you off. And I was working with a guy one-on-one, like we are now. I would talk with him and then I would trade with him. And he was a great guy. He was a plumber from Australia who just made it day trading. But then he got sucked in with a company and they were overselling the programs. So he would have all these people and all this pressure. And that led to his downfall as well, because instead of just being relaxed and cool like you're supposed to be as a trader, he had all this pressure to make money. And when you're trying to make money, it just evaporates. Mm-hmm. So there was that, his pressure, plus with my just basically smoking shitloads of weed. And because it was nocturnal, it was trading the US markets. So we'd start work at 11:30 at night and work till 5 or 6 in the morning, just sitting there on a computer trading. And that was just not me. And that's just fucking boring. And you're falling asleep and you've been stoned all day and it just stopped working, man. And I stopped working because I was tired and just more interested in getting stoned and watching stimulus and playing video games and then just following his trades. So everything that I was doing, it got me to a positive mindset and got me successful. Even it wasn't great success, but I had it all. I had, great relationship, financial stability. I had work. My health was all right. We were eating organic and all that sort of stuff. But then all of the grandiosity and the drug use, I just became blinded, and I was living in the ether. It's like my mum says, she's a nurse and she's worked in all aspects of nursing. So she and worked in psychiatric wards, and she would say that neurotics build castles in the sky, but psychotics live in them. I lived in the castle in the sky, and then eventually it just all crumbled down. all the money that I borrowed, I was just living off that. I wasn't making money. I was just breaking even and then losing little bits, but then also subtracting off that because I didn't want to go back to work because I quit my job by this time. I was like just working at Woolworths, just management and all this sort of bullshit. I went, fuck that crap. I'm rich now. I'm just going to be a rich trader like that. So all the money disappeared. I neglected my relationship because I was just up all night and doing things on the computer that you just should not be doing, things you should not be looking at. So I wasn't spending any time with her. And then I was just, because I was stoned all the time. And I've always had a streak of gluttony. It's always been like one of my fucking greatest sins is just overeating, overconsumption. So I was just becoming fatter, unhealthier, neglecting the relationship, and then broke. And then eventually, and then paranoid, went down the conspiracy rabbit hole. And the thing is, most of that stuff is actually true. It ain't conspiracies, but that doesn't help anything. It's good to be aware, but then it's good just to forget about that and focus on your immediate world because it'll just take you down a path that'll just destroy you. So went down that path, that rabbit hole, and then woke up one day and just went, oh yeah, I found another man and I'll catch you later. And I thought, well, holy. And I knew it was all coming. All these things I knew in the back of my mind. But I just ignored it and just thought, oh, tomorrow and later, next day, and just had too much faith and trust in, this is my high school sweetheart. I've known this person forever. She'll be loyal to me forever. I was took advantage of the situation. And she was rightful to do all that. And because it was all of my character flaws, all of my narcissism, all of my immaturity that just led to that situation. So crushed, and absolutely just crushed, despair. Like I remember that space. It was just like, didn't want to, and all those negative feelings from youth of dreams of like suicide and just depression and all that sort of shit all just came back. And it was just like the hardest thing. That was when I was 23. It was just like nothing ever in my life has ever been as hard as that. So from there, I just basically just had to, it was just stripped my whole identity, my whole worth, my inflation. I was just nothing. I was bare. So I just had to rebuild from the ground up. And it's not what happens in life, it's who happens in life. And at that point, that's like we all find out these days it's great. We can find mentors and helpers and terrific information all online. And that's when I found found a mentor, man. And he just happened like at the right time at the right place. That was Elliot Hulse. And millions of people know who Elliot Hulse is. And it was just like, just happened to be on a YouTube video, one little click. Oh, that seems all right. And I just clicked that, and that just changed my life for the next 5 years. Just cleaned up the diet, and he was like holistic, and it was all about strength training and holistic. It was the whole shebang. So I was like, sweet, I got a mission now. I can start really just dialing down, detoxing, working on my health, start working out, getting that pride, making those little wins. And then the financial thing, like I was still smoking weed at the time, just as a coping mechanism. But I knew it had to stop. So then after a couple of months, stopped that, had like a great friend of mine that looked after me, let me stay at his house, just for emotional support and just companionship because it was just lonely and crushing. Because this was out at Silkwood, out in the cane paddocks, out of town. So you're just by yourself, and it was very lonely. So then that's how I got into construction work with my dad's work that I just did not want to do because it was a necessity. It was an immediate out that I could jump into, making decent money as a worker to start getting myself out of this fucking massive pile of debt that I'd accumulated through my poor choices because of my poor character. So just over the next years, 8 years, was just steady of just every week, just paying that fucking debt off. Because then I eventually sold the house. We fixed it all up again because it turned into a rat's nest. Fixed it up and sold it, but I sold it for way less way less than what I actually owed the bank. So then I still just had this dead debt. There was no way to get rid of it except for just through labor. So I had to fucking labor and labor and labor. And then there was and I was still within that period, then I'd say relapse. Not relapse, but reindulge, reignite bad habits. Because I started being a concreter, and if you know anything about concreters, cementers, lots of drinking, lots of smoking, lots of all of the things that just take you down. So that was part of the lifestyle. So then I was just drinking and smoking and still on point and still would look after my health to an extent, like I'd have days off it. But it was always back steps. You'd never have that constant, steady ascension. So I was still good with my money and everything, but I was still drinking, and I'd go through periods of not drinking but it would always be back steps. You'd have that momentum and then you'd lose it. So fast forward 8 years later, sold, paid off all the debt. No, sorry, fast forward 6.5 years, and literally the day after I paid off my debt, I was introduced. I met a man. I call him the prophet of profit, and he was right down the conspiracy trail. And this was when COVID started too, so that whole rabbit hole got reignited. And then he introduced me to cryptocurrency, and that's when I caught crypto fever.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that gets involved in cryptocurrency gets crypto fever. Just immediately, man. I just went and got into like another just massive amount of debt because it just fueled of instant tales of instant wealth, doomsday predictions, prepping and economic collapse and financial collapse and all that shit. So then that cost me another 18 months because I got into all this debt and then had a new girlfriend, and then that fucking broke up. So anyway, then 18 months later, finally I'd learned my lesson and I was out of debt at long fucking last.
Man.
And that gets us, so that was 3 years ago. And then to wrap up the story, and I was in a city, moved back to my hometown. Never say never. I'm never moving back home. I'm never working back there. And then I moved back, and it was just one of the best things I did because it just re-grounded me. Met people that were instrumental and changed my life. Like, you don't have to go online to find a great person. Even if this person isn't a zillionaire or they haven't got some massive presence, I was back in the real world working with real men. And the things that I learned, man, from these people, like, they'll always be my older brothers. So that was amazing, man. Amazing. And then it just, like, I got round two then, because then I was so good with my money for paying off all this debt for so many years. I instantly just would have all this money now that I could actually start to invest. And then after just living out of my ute and couch surfing and camping for like a year, because my dad's like a real estate guy and a construction guy. Not like, he's not rich or anything, but he knows his shit. He told me, hey, there's a rates and arrears auction with the local government council where people don't pay their land taxes or whatever you'd call it in America, and they just confiscate it and sell it for cheap just to get their money back. And this piece of shit property came up, but it was right in town, but it was sort of hidden in a back street, so no one knew it was there amongst the cane, covered in just long grass and dead trees. Come up and went to the auction. I thought it was one of the only couple of properties left. And I thought, oh, yeah, they're going to want this. Someone's going to want this. And they put it up and nobody said anything. And I just said, how about 10,000 for it? And they said, yep, no worries. So I just got this piece of land for like $10,000. And it was like, coincidence. Like, I'd lost like 10 years of my life. 10's a good number. I lost 10 years of my life through all the character flaws and immaturity, and then now I've got this property for cheap for 10,000, and because I had all this money, well, not all this money, but I had no more debt and didn't have all these expenses, I was able to just build a house on it with no debt. And that brings us to this present day, is where now it's just for sale. I've got a contract on it, and so I'll just make back all this money, and I'll get my time back. And that's what's most important, is the time. Like even the construction thing, I've given that up now and I just do it part-time. I have a reverse weekend. So I only work 2 or 3 days a week and then have the rest of the time to work on what I'm building now, which is the coaching business, the online fitness business, the nutrition, the holistic. And that's what my book is all about. It's about unifying your mind, body, and spirit, all of your thoughts, all of your actions, and building a nation from within. Because I was always interested in the earth, the civilization, even as a kid. It's just something, an interest, leadership. It's just something I've always been fascinated with, how we as humans can come together and just have a hierarchy or a hive of just command and control, and in the positive sense, and be able to just get shit done, to be able to build wonders, to cooperate and just make amazing things. And that's the two sides of my personality. I love the high level technology and systems and in industry and all that sort of shit, but also love the earthly, holistic, grounded spiritual path. It's like the fusion of form and essence, based here, grounded in the physical reality, but then also being connected to the universal source that animates everything. Taking this gift of the God hand, I call it, the ability to create, but then also merging that with the creator itself. So being centered, being good, pure of heart, and it sounds a bit corny, but pure of character sounds a bit more accurate. So being earthly, being based, being in the body, and being of spirit, but then also using this the gift we're given. Everything is given to us for a reason, to be used to its absolute fullest extent. And that's what my book is about, is building a nation from within. It's taking the macrocosm and bringing it down to the microcosm, because a nation, a country, an organization, everything in the universe is a pattern. Those larger bodies of humans is a representation of a single human body. The mind, your consciousness is like the ruler, it's the incumbent, it's the leader. That's what everything derives from there. If there's a flaw somewhere, if there's a blind spot, the rest of the organization, the structure will be weak. It'll have chinks in its armor. There'll be a flaw there. So being conscious and pure of spirit, that's like being the leader. And then your mind is like the government. It's like the keys to power. It's all of the networks, the web of influence, like a government. There's a leader and then there's a state. Now your body is the nation, it's the land, it's the population, it's the institutions, it's the infrastructure, it's the military, it's the hospitals. Everything is within there. All of your cells have all these different functions, and you can affect all that through your consciousness, through your mind, and through your body. Your own personal economy. You can grow a garden to support yourself. You can have animals, your own territory, your family, all these things. It all conglomerates into you building your own independent sovereignty and your own nation from within. And that's what it's about. It's about unifying within as a man, so then ultimately, collectively, we can unify as men with our own autonomous factions where we all have the same goals. We all have the same objectives. And there doesn't need to be some central pillar of command to make a better world. If we all just take the external and bring it back into the internal and live our lives from within, and we have our own backyard sorted, then collectively, individually, we all as a species move in the same direction. And that's what it's about. And that's what my book's about. And that's why I just give it away for free to anybody who follows me on Instagram, is just to get the message out there, because I've been helped so much in my life by circumstances and situations and just things that just happened at the exact right time. And if they didn't happen and I didn't receive that information or meet that person, it wouldn't have happened. I was so lucky. There's so many little tiny things, this is the right time. And that's what my book's for, is to give it to that person that needs it at the right time. And if they read that and they find what they're looking for in there, and then they want that extra assistance. They want someone to help them structure it, to build it. They want that support. Well, that's why I put the content out there, because they can just keep following my stuff, and I'll be there in the third person, I guess you'd call it, to help them. But then if they really want that support to elevate, well, then they can contact me, and then we work together. So that's what I do now, man. That's me. That's my story. That's my mission.
You made this easy for me. I didn't have to ask any questions.
I got the answers, man, because I do the work. When you do the work, the answers come to you.
Well, you've taken personal responsibility and you've shown what it means to really be a man. You took everything head on, took care of business, and now you're building something special. And you do one-on-one sessions with people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do group sessions and one-on-one sessions. So
Okay.
the group sessions, like, here's a general program. Here's, the fitness, and that's what the book's too. The book's like a schematic. The book's like a schematic, and it's not like a lecture. And anything in there is stuff that I do. Like, I don't tell anyone to do anything that I don't do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a schematic. It's everything you need. It's like the basics. It covers all the basics: your health, your fitness, your mindset, your relationships, but then your character. So, like, here it is. Here's a system. Follow it. But then the one-on-one is when I actually really work with someone, and we figure out exactly what is your unique path in life. What is your genius? What is your actual objectives? And we can go through and iron out and deconstruct their entire life, and then re-assimilate it and build a customized blueprint for their unique objectives.
You don't have a website?
Yeah, well, it's web things out of your control. That's what I'm waiting for, is the web developers and the graphics designers, which should be in the next week. But in the meantime, like, you just contact me on Instagram, which is at the Unified Man, Neil Fisher. And you'll see my melon with this in the background, the Unified Man. So that's where that's like the nexus. So once the website's built, that's where the book will be. And then you just follow, and you can still buy the book. It's still there, because people I know, they say, oh, I don't have Instagram, but I want to buy your book. So it's still there for sale. But if you got Instagram and you follow me, well, I'll just give it to you for free. So, and then you just get a login, and then goes to the web page, and there it is. It's not a long book, 70 pages, and that's the point. It isn't all full of all this fluff. Here's a system.
Now, is Instagram the only social media that you're on?
Yeah, Facebook as well. Neil Fisher, the Unified Man. You'll see the thing. YouTube, the Unified Man. Twitter, or X now, the Unified Man. Yeah, that's the 4 platforms, I believe. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough social media for me.
I will put all of your links in the description to make it easy for folks to find you. Thank you, Neil. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you'll get some more followers out of this.
Love being here, man. Loved every second of it. And yeah, if you ever want me back, man, it'd be more than a pleasure. It was lovely.
Well, definitely want you to come back on in the future. So we'll hit us up.
Yeah, man. Hit us up once I actually have this thing established. The next, like I said, should be next week or 2 or whatever. But then once it's actually sweet, I can actually deliver. Not just the message, but here it is.
Well, as soon as you get the website, send it to me, and then I will just add it into the description later on.
Yeah, wicked, man. Good shit, eh?
All right,
man. Kyle, lovely.
Thank you. And also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, well, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And for my regulars, you guys are awesome, because you make it possible for me to do this. And until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless, and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network